Hello everyone, today I'm going to be walking through the steps of creating a character in D&D Beyond in 5th edition. So let's get straight into it. Now, looking at the homepage of D&D Beyond, you can either hit create a character right here, or you can go to collections and view all of your current characters. Then once you're here, you can go on over to create a character and click on that. From here, you have a few different options, but if you are a beginner, I would recommend the standard build. Now, once you are on the homepage of the character creation, you can select your name. You can also have a randomize effect that comes from Fantasy Name Generator, and if you click on that, it can go to a much more detailed and specific area where you can pick different types of names. It's a very great name generator. But besides that, we can scroll down and look at some of these options. I would recommend not messing with any of the sources or anything. The only things I would recommend with messing right now is look at your advancement type and either go milestone or XP based on what your DM, or if you have no preference, just go XP. And on to hit point type, if it's your first time, I would go fixed unless you're told otherwise by a DM. And finally, character privacy. If you are planning on being in a campaign, you should set this to public, but if this is just for your own uses, you can set it to private if you don't want other people to be able to view it. Now, going on to the next step, choosing a race. There are a lot of options if you have some source books. If you have just created a D&D Beyond account, this is what you should see from the basic rules. But if you think there should be a race that's missing here, or there's another race that you want to play, you can always purchase the book from the marketplace, and then the race will show up in here, such as the newest book, Mordecai Presents Monsters of the Multiverse, has all of these races. If you were just getting into D&D and purchasing one book, I would recommend Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and this Mordecai Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. Today, I'm going to be choosing a Dark Elf, otherwise known as a Drow. Once you click on the race, you can see a pretty good description of the race, along with all their traits, going through their abilities and what they get ability score increases in. You can view all of this once you get done with your character and view it on your character sheet. So we have chosen Drow, and we can go back over any of these abilities, but other than that, we are just going to go to the next step. So now for class, you can pick whatever class you would like. If you're looking for subclasses in these are selected later when you level up. Today, I'm just going to go with Fighter, but you can always browse these and look at all of the abilities and features that comes with each of these classes. Now, once you've selected your class, you can view all of the different abilities that you have at level 1. Depending on the class you chose, you will have different things that need updated. If the box has a blue ring around it in this exclamation point, then that means you need to select something. So clicking on this one, I will select 2 proficiencies that come with the fighter class. For my character Drizzt, I have chosen survival and animal handling. Now on to the fighting style. Again, this will be different depending on what class you chose, but you will probably have something to select based on whatever class. Once you click the dropdown, you will be presented with a lot of options. If this is confusing, you can click on one, and then it will give you the description of what the ability does. If you don't like that ability, you can always go back in and click a different one and read what that does. So I picked 2-weapon fighting. I like the idea of my character fighting with 2 weapons, and then we can move on to the next step. On to ability scores. There are a lot of different ways that you can approach this. The standard array has you pick from 6 different ability scores, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, and 15. You then assign each of these numbers to one of your different ability scores. Each class has different strengths and weaknesses that you'd want to put the highest and lowest of these scores into. Point Buy assigns you points with all of your ability scores starting at 8. The 27 points that you were allocated can go into these up to 15, and you have 27 points to allocate among these 6. Manual/rolled, you can roll for each of them, and you can even do this within the website itself of D&D Beyond. Once you've rolled them all, you assign each number to a different ability score. Again, your stronger stats, you'll want the higher numbers, and the ones you don't care much about, you can put things like 11s. Today, we'll be going with standard array because it is the simplest. But your DM will most likely tell you which one of these they prefer you use. Once you've allocated all of your ability scores, you can go look at the final score calculations. Besides the base score that you picked above, there are other modifiers to some of these, like racial bonuses that I get from being a dark elf. In my case, I get a +2 dexterity and a +1 charisma. Onto the description, you have another chance to change your name and choose a background. Each background is going to come with its own proficiencies and language choices, a feature, and certain characteristics of that background. I would say to start off, you should pick whichever one matches the character that you were trying to build. In my case, I chose Outlander, and again, anything highlighted in this blue are things that we need to pick. I've chosen Intimidation as my proficiency, Bagpipes as a tool proficiency, and Undercommon as an additional language. You can also read through your background feature to see if it matches what you want for your character. One additional thing on this page is suggested characteristics. You can read through these and get inspiration for different personality traits, ideals, bonds, or you can completely skip this step. It's completely flavor. After this, you can choose certain character details like alignment, faith, lifestyle, and physical characteristics for what your character looks like. You can always change these later on this screen or even in your character sheet itself. The last page is equipment. There are 2 options for equipment, the equipment route or the gold route. For new players, I recommend equipment because it will take you through what your character would have. If you chose gold, then you would be given a certain amount of gold and you have to go and buy the items yourself. So today we're going to choose equipment. As you can see here, it's unique to your fighter class, and it gives you simple options of 2 choices each, and you can just make your selections. I've chosen leather armor, longbow, and 20 arrows, along with 2 scimitars, a light crossbow, 20 bolts, and a Dungeoneer's pack. Your background will also come with some amount of starting equipment that you can read through here. Once you're done with all that, you have to click Add Starting Equipment, and from here you can scroll and look through all of the equipment that you just added. We don't want to modify anything on this page because we can do this in our character sheet. Once we're done, we can either export this if you're playing at a table, or if you'll have access to an electronic device, you can just always view this on your character sheet. So that is everything you need to get started with a level 1 character in D&D Beyond. I'll have a follow-up video going through the character sheet itself and explaining all of the different aspects that we just chose in the character creation. Thanks for watching, and if this helped you out at all, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thanks!